Hello, my name is Brian Hawkins, and I'm here to detail the conversation that I had with an HR professional. So, this HR professional works as an HR coordinator for the University of Kansas, and the departments that they overlook include the Lawrence campus, the Edwards campus in Overland Park, the Parsons site, and the Topeka site. It doesn't include the KU Med campus sites, which are in Wichita, Salina, and Kansas City. The scope of KU in general includes around 10,000 employees, and the HR professional that I talked to estimated about 5,000 employees that were in the departments that she has some kind of oversight or contact in. It is a regional company, but it is the largest employer in Lawrence, and they hire all over the U.S. and internationally as well. They're considered state employees at KU, and therefore they enjoy state government benefits, state holidays, the general bonuses of being a government worker in the state. So the HR professional's role that I interviewed is that of an HR coordinator. She oversees some legs of the hiring process in multiple departments, and this includes staff, faculty, and temp workers in these departments. She handles the allocation of funds for all these positions, including one of the biggest research centers, the Bureau of Child Research. Her position in HR is a unique one because it deals mostly with research staff hires, not faculty hires, as most of the HR staff are hiring faculty for the most part. She mostly deals in the latter in the posting of the hirings and the onboarding. She doesn't really deal with the recruiting itself. It's the departments that do that themselves, and she aids along in the process. This HR professional is the go-to HR contact for the research of these positions, and really in general, if anybody in the departments below her have an HR question, then they go to this HR professional. Um, they don't handle any interviewing directly for recruits. The departments handle that themselves as well. Once the department decides on the recruits, then they come back to this HR professional for the rest. After coming back to her, she reviews the recruits' resumes, their qualifications, their eligibility to work in the United States, all the things like that, and approves these potential hires and brings them on board. She then coordinates with the recruit themselves, the hiree themselves, and helps them on board, become involved, handles HR questions from them as well as the department themselves, and also in general helps with any employee maintenance of all the departments. So this includes pay rate, scheduling, appointments, and resignations, stuff like that. As for strategies to finding new talent, she says that they use a lot of local ads. They get a lot of success with Topeka, Lawrence, and Kansas City newspapers, as well as national ads. She mentioned that they recently hired somebody from Washington, D.C. through a newspaper ad out there. They also post a lot, of course, on Indeed, Monster, and Glassdoor. And the departments, not this HR professional, she doesn't really have anything to do with this, but the departments themselves send staff to job fairs to network and reach out that way as well. As for finding new talent, she encourages their departments to post the minimum requirements for the job and not to get greedy. She mentions that a lot of the departments, when it says like minimum requirement of 2 years, they like to bump it up to 4 years in their job posting because they would just much prefer that. And she says a big thing of hers is to not do that, to post the actual minimum requirements that are required. And she really emphasized her view of hire for the soft skills and train for the hard skills, because you can do that, and it, I guess, makes the hiring process a lot easier for all of them. And she mentioned that it really increases the talent pool available for them to look at, and that alone makes it worth it to keep it to the minimum and then adjust going forward based on that. She also stated that she really strives for her departments to have a clearly outlined process for their hiring. So for their posts, their job postings, the listed salary, post who to contact, which is this HR professional, and she also mentions that talent is brought in passively through Lawrence and KU having a renowned positive culture in the first place. As for challenges in finding new employees, she says she wanted me to state that she's not 100% applicable to this, so she didn't feel fully comfortable stating with authority a lot of this because she's not the one with hands-on in the recruitment process. She more oversees the beginning and then comes back in the end and helps, but she's not the one actually recruiting. But she knows that there is some trouble with a lot of their positions due to salary, because KU works under state funding, so they don't have as many resources as many corporations do for each position. But in the past, KU was also unaccommodating to work from home and hybrid work situations. So she said that this lost a lot of recruits, or really just it was dead on arrival because they weren't very accommodating for that. And also, it's hard to find motivated workers for the salaries that they can afford. As for innovations to attract talent, KU has become very accommodating to work from home and hybrid work. In fact, this HR professional works from home almost exclusively. She mentioned that she comes in about 4 days a month usually, mostly for things like I-9 and W-2 paperwork. Being legally, you have to sign off on a lot of these in person, and that's most of what she and a lot of her colleagues actually have to come into work for. They clearly label this on job postings, and they also allow the sorting of postings by work from home and hybrid. So it just makes it a lot easier for talent to see this. And also recently they created a new team to facilitate HR roster expansion for the HR team. This added 15 to 20 new jobs, and it includes a new team that follows up with new hires periodically. So say not just when they're first coming on, but then again a week later, a month later, 6 months later. Right now, this is the interviewee that I had. This is their job, but they're limited in time and resources, so they can't quite do this as much as they would like to. And the goal of all this is to help with retention. Recently, as for programs and benefits to engage workers, recently KU created a health and wellness department for staff and students. They engage workers through lunch and learns as well, yoga sessions, recreational sports. They really try to get everybody involved. There's also the bonuses for staff enjoying snow days just like the students, so obviously good for mental health and being able to decompress. Same with holiday breaks, just like the students, winter, Thanksgiving, and summer. As for career development programs, KU offers tuition payment to further their employees' education. 12 credit hours a year that they pay, not just to KU, but for any college. So this HR professional could go back and finish a degree that she did at her other college before she got hired. Departments also bring in speakers and hold courses to develop their employees. And also, she said that they use a system called My Talent, which contains unique courses that are relevant to each department. So there's one for HR, there's one for business, everything like that. HRs has courses on hiring, onboarding, leadership, etc. And she said that she could do this in her downtime while working. She could get on My Talent, and it would track her progress, and she furthers her credentials and learns more about her job. As for connecting workers to a larger culture of the institution, Lawrence and KU has cultivated a fabulously accepting and communal culture overall. She repeated this a lot, and I mean, I lived in Lawrence for 2 years. I absolutely agree. There's weekly update emails from KU's chancellor to staff as well as all the students there that posts every new things coming out every week: events, picnics, luncheons, work groups, webinars, all that, recreational sports again. And she had a quote in there that I had to put in here of she just said, "I could talk for days about all the great things about the culture here and how much I love about working here and being in the city." As for a succession plan, this HR professional said that there is not really a solid succession plan in her department. She said that may differ in other departments. Even some of the departments that she works with, she wouldn't quite be totally privy to the plans there. But she mentioned that one of the three managers in her branch left recently, and there wasn't really a plan in place for that, and so they all kind of had to scramble and take some extra work to account for that. And she also states that a mentorship plan would be helpful here. So having her learn underneath her manager and be, or her or anybody else, and be more ready for this kind of thing when it happens, as well as more options for leadership tasks for those quote unquote subordinates in her department or any department, so they're more equipped to take on this kind of thing when it happens. She also said that if her manager left right now, for instance, she would be a little bit nervous about who the new manager would be, and whether it would be an internal hire, an external hire, and this could cause turnover. As for key takeaways of this interview, I really thought that these are the biggest bullet points to have brought out of this and when making an HR plan. She really stressed simplifying the hiring process for applicants, accommodating worker situations if possible, that really helped them out, aiding in recruits onboarding and bringing them into the business and having them feel comfortable, and then underlined the thing that she was most excited about through the whole thing was bringing new employees into the culture in many different ways, allowing for personal development, be it through the My Talent courses or paying for college or any kind of system like that, and ensuring a succession plan. Obviously, that's that's necessary, and really was the one area that she wasn't quite satisfied with and brought up some real negatives about that. And then that leads into the next point of prioritizing retention. All this, every one of these bullet points goes into the ultimate goal of prioritizing retention. We saw earlier the addition of the HR team of 15 to 20 new employees that really were mostly working toward the goal of the bottom line of prioritizing retention. And I mean, this reduces your cost of having to recruit, onboard, hire new people, train new people. Retention is a key in a lot of areas. And I mean, even the fact that the KU and their department was willing to add 15 to 20 new employees for the sole purpose, really, of retention and bringing people in. And thank you. That is my presentation, and that was a discussion I had. Appreciate it.